Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Knowles. I'm one of the founders of Gov Directions, and I want to welcome you here this afternoon. As you come into the room, your mute is on, and we're going to give everybody just a few minutes to get in here. It's going to be one of our smaller crowds this that week, they're right here at Thanksgiving. I want to make sure this is interactive. It is a recorded version for you. We'll have it live on YouTube, so it's recorded as we go along. So it's available right after our session today. So I want to also welcome all those who are watching on YouTube live and who will be watching later. Please reach out to us at RFP Delivery if you have any questions. And what I want to talk about today is getting ready for 2025 and where you really kind of need to focus in on and talk to you a little bit about micro purchases here at the end of the year and make sure that you're positioned in the best possible light so that you could then potentially receive some of those projects, and they're sometimes just short term in nature, and especially as they finish up their year end budgets. And I think everybody knows we're entering into a new time period at the federal level, and there will be some transition. And we want you to be in the best position possible to enjoy that benefit. So here it is at a couple of minutes after the half hour, and so I'll go ahead and get started. But just again, welcome you to RFP Delivery, and I'm going to actually do an experiential class today where I'm going to dive into some basic information and show you how to actually search and get yourself the data that you need in our system. If you're not familiar with it, I'll always like to start off with just a quick video screen where I demonstrate really what our purpose. We're looking at a fragmented marketplace, and GovDirections since 1998 has worked to take this fragmentation and pull it together. It's not broken by any sense. We design our government structure in this way: local government, state agencies, state government, federal
Oh
agencies, the
shit, no.
federal hierarchy.
I'll go
And
get it after this thing.
yeah, sorry about that. Okay. And I'm going to maintain that mute status for everybody so we can all enjoy it. But so here we go. And with that, you see this fragmentation, and we have about 140,000 different procurement buying authorities that are around there, around the United States and Canada. And we try to track those, and they're pulling them together. Some 35,000 plus cities and towns, 3,000 plus counties, 12,000, really about 14,000 school systems now. We've learned to educate our children in different ways, and we have created a lot of new school systems since that last census. And then, of course, special districts always growing. These are oftentimes we're not even aware of them. They're out there, the hospital authorities, airports, parks, transit systems, a lot of different authorities that we see and associations. See those commonly, and now really in Texas and Florida and some others that just continue to grow. I think that number is close to 42,000, but oftentimes operating off the general budget books of local governments, and so you don't really see their bids as quickly as you had hoped. And those agencies altogether, they issue about 5,000 calls for business proposals daily on average, and about 1.6, 1.7 million a year. And there's no indication that's going to slow down anytime soon. And we're going to enter into, despite all of the rhetoric that we hear, we're going to enter into the largest spending period in American history in this FY25. And so it's important that you position yourself to partake into that marketplace. And I use a puzzle box to kind of illustrate all of that data flowing together. Kind of sometimes it's unwielding. Almost like a puzzle, until you start putting the end pieces together, doesn't really make a lot of sense. But then you accomplish that, and it all comes together pretty quickly. And that's what we try to do with our RFP delivery service, so that you can come in there very quickly and search a keyword of any kind. And so in your business model, you want to watch that. So if you're doing, for example, pest control or others, you'd come in there and type in a word like pest, search, find all the active bids that are available for you right now. And so you start learning some of the terminology for the various marketplaces. And I'll just point out a couple of things. One is we're not a speculative system. So everything you see here is going to end up in contract at some level. So here, this organization in South Carolina on December 12th, somebody's going to win that contract. I'd like to point that out so that you're not wasting time. It's not like you and I maybe going out and thinking about getting somebody to come do pest control for us, and then we get quotes and we never go through with it. Here, a government goes through an elaborate decision-making process, oftentimes a year in the making, sometimes multiple years, in order to move to that stage where they're actually going to enter into a procurement. And this potentially could be a multi-year contract, depending on the state laws of that state. And so it's something that you should pay attention to, and so you're not wasting your time. And the second thing is I like to always point out is we're at our organization, we're not affiliated with any government. And that's by purpose, by design. It's not that we dislike government. We like them, of course. They like us. We've built a universe for them to broadcast their bids and proposals, requests for proposals. Some 130,000 companies plus use our services, and so it's a marketplace that they tap into. And about 80% of our bids are posted directly by our government. But we don't want to, like some other third-party system, we don't want to sit and wait for governments to post. And otherwise, we miss out on thousands of opportunities, and we just don't want to have a situation where that occurs. So we built this almost like a newspaper publication where you can come in and you work with us in a cooperative manner, and we go out and actually do the work for you to learn about those contracts, to put them in front of you. And so I like to point out those two things, so that makes us different than others. And lastly, you're not going to be looking at a lot of expired bids. In fact, you're not looking at any expired bids, and you're looking at different phases of it. If they're looking for a source of salt, for example, going to have that capability statement ready to go. In fact, that's one of probably the first things I want to mention to you as you prepare for 2025 is getting your capability statement up to speed, so that you not only is highlighting what you're capable of doing in 2025, but also that you are ready to go. That you potentially, you're in compliance with the BABA program, Build America, Buy American Act, and I forget sometimes the acronym, I get it backwards, but it's the emphasis is on that, on those type companies in the coming year, and you want to make sure you highlight that on your capability statement, as well as any sort of certifications you might have in your past performance from this current year. So update that capability statement. You got yourself, as you're going into this final part of the year. That capability statement is the number one item that you're going to use this coming year to really broadcast your company. So make sure you get it done right. And especially when you're looking at a source of salt situation where they're trying to make sure that you have everything they need. And I always like to point out, the capability statement, it's not a resume, it's not a marketing piece. It basically is a document that you're telling the government, specifically federal agencies, what you're capable of accomplishing. I get a couple inquiries, should I include, my subcontractors? And yeah, if you got a network of individuals that are working with you consistently, then you should make sure that you got that pulled together in a document that sells that capability that you have. And if you're in different areas, how that matches together and how that builds the strength of your company. And you should make sure that you have that in a way that you can present it to organizations in an interactive way. You're sending it to them by PDF, potentially where it's interlinked to a website that you might have, and others, to getting yourself ready for the inquiries. Because a lot of times, specifically when we're talking about that magic word, micro purchases, that means that, it's a transaction level that's small, and that they've got some flexibility in how they acquire your services. And they can oftentimes, really they think the first threshold in some marketplaces is probably 10,000, less than $10,000, but most marketplaces it's at a 25,000 threshold. And so you're less than 25,000, then a government can just pick up the phone, give you a call. They're going to go in, and I'll show you the database in just a minute, how they search you and how they might find somebody to actually come in and do a pest control project. I'm just using that as an example today. And then, even then, if you step up, there's going to be transactions that are sort of the next micro level. That's 25,000 to 250,000, where if you're a small business owner, then you have potential set asides at that price range. And government's going to continue to push to reach out to you and try to build at least more of a competitive marketplace, but still on a quick transactional basis, where they're coming in and doing a combined synopsis solicitation or some other quick access to the market for you, so that you're not sitting and waiting forever. And so you want to make sure you're watching for those. And so here I've got, just quickly, some bids that you see here that are active right now. and round. And when you actually open up any of these bids that catch your attention, at that point in time, you're going to find some additional information. Let's just look at this integrated pest management project there in Massachusetts. It's due December 20th. It's a state and local government, meaning it could be a city, a county, or a state agency. Not going to be in SAM, of course. They don't. All these state and local are not in SAM, and that's important. All the SAM is within our database, but not vice versa. So our database includes local, state, and federal. The SAM only includes federal. The individual states only include their states, sometimes local governments, but then the local governments only include theirs. So it's that fragmentation that we seek to aggregate together. But here you will find, the title of the bid, the state that it's in, where it's located on the internet. So we're going to put you a quick link to the details, to the documents, so they're right there in front of you. The due date, the agency itself, linking directly to that agency. If they use a reference, a lot of times we're talking about a really small organization and they don't have references, or it's just this is the only bid they potentially have out for the whole quarter, in fact. So you don't have that real formal structure that you might find in SAM, System for Award Management. And just as a reminder, SAM is not a bidding platform. SAM is an award management platform, and it's designed for accounts payable for purposes primarily, so that you have to be set up there before you can bid on a federal government contract. It has nothing to do with local governments and state agencies. In fact, this housing authority doesn't really care if you're registered in SAM unless they got a dollar attached to some sort of project that they're seeking to procure that's funded by the federal government. Here's a phone number. If it's a name, we're going to tell you the name, give you the link to actually how to do business with that government. And then if it's a PSC code or something attached to it, we're going to drop that in there for you with some details, but all with the goal of getting you to leave us and then go directly to the source. And at this point, you're working directly with that government. You might come to a third party. At that point, you might be required to register. And then you always free. There's no cost in any state anymore. And so you use that portal to get to actually bid on the projects. And there's probably about 40 different portal styles in the United States, serving maybe 4,000 agencies out of about 140,000. I think that's just a rough number but you might be running across. So it may seem like there's a lot because oftentimes they're the larger organizations, but you still miss a significant number of bids as well as agencies using or depending on just one portal. So you need an aggregator to really help you out. And that's, our pitch there. So there you are, a quick through process to get to that bid until you actually find the results of it. And I would just point out that you can also go over here as you're building your 2025 data stream or your pipeline, and even for 2026 and 2027, you capture the bid. And when you capture it, you can keep it in your capture folder or your pipeline as long as you like. And so, most likely this agency is going to either issue a year bid or maybe a 3-year bid. And then you can tag it, and then in 3 years they're going to come back out. So if you don't win it this time, you can look and see who did win it, what price they paid. But you can also get in there a little early and practice more traditional business development, presenting that capability statement to the agency in a quick way. And so it's important that you use that time for business development, and you build that. I have projects that I usually work on, and on average, the governments usually go out in about 8 to 12 years between that time frame. So whenever I'm looking for future work, I'm looking to back when the last time they did it, about 8 years ago. My database is 6 million records, so I can go back and zoom back into it very quickly using easy tools now, specifically with AI and others, and I can get a good projection at when they're going to come back out to the market. Get in there about 3 months early. Start to casually drop in details about my company. But once it comes to an actual due date, there's a cone of silence around it, and you want to make sure that you respect that, because you don't want to get thrown out or be ruled non-responsive, is what it's referred to as, and then you're not considered because you violated some rule. And so we don't want to have that happen. So our main goal then is going to make sure you build that pipeline for 2025, and we're going to do that in your home account. So you click home here, our logo, take you back to your main board here, and then what you're going to want to do is really kind of tap into. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, your small business profile. Now, this is the number one way for you to learn about learn about micro purchases and smaller transactions from the agencies themselves. You tap onto your UEI. If you haven't added your UEI, just tap into settings, and it'll give you that option just right here, and you can add your UEI, unique entity ID. Just as a reminder, that's the register in the SAM system, System for Award Management. Unique entity ID is there for you, whether specific numbers and letters that mean something to the agencies. The UEI you receive, then you can bid on federal government contracts. And then if you add your cage code, additional vetting numbers and codes, including like your security clearance and your congressional district and things, all those codes, all those numbers mean something in that code. And so you need it, once you get it, then you're able to bid on these additional projects. But it also taps into, for the local governments, to the dynamic small business search system. And your SBA profile is there for them to come in and actually search. And what happens typically, let's just say I was just going to show you. So here's how your profile actually would look. But if I was to come in and I was in the process of, and I got to say a $25,000 pest control project or whatever widget, whatever, and I could come in and let's just say I'm in Georgia, so I want to go in and check Georgia out. Well, as a contracting officer, I come in, I tap Georgia. I can even go down to the block level if I wanted to, the area code. So I want somebody with a 404 area code. I may not be, hopefully I find somebody. Okay. And then I'm gonna go in with pest. Okay. And then I'm gonna search that. And what it's gonna do is give me somebody localized in the downtown Atlanta area that's a contractor who's ready to go because they're in the database. They got a UEI. Look at there, got me some results. I got 5 results. And so these folks here are all ready to do pest control. And I can just call up these 5 individuals or even potentially email them as a contracting officer. And then I would and ask them, I say, hey, listen, I got 1,000 square feet and I need this project done by the end of the year. I got some extra money I'm trying to book, and I've got the flexibility to do that. So give me a quote. And you give them a quote and you come back, they can strike that deal almost immediately for you. That's a micro purchase. Okay. And that's projects you'll never see on our site or anywhere else, frankly. You're going to hear about it from a phone call or maybe a fax to you or some sort of, I guess nobody's really faxing these days, but an email. And probably the number one thing they're going to say is send me your capability statement. So you got to have your capability statement ready to go, even if it's not a federal government at this point. Is the local state will say, hey, I know if that company has a capability statement, then they know what they're doing. Okay. And they're considered sort of vetted, and so it's important that you have that, and it's built in such a way that you got your NAICS code on there, and you got the pest control NAICS code on that document, and you got your contact data, and everything's up to speed, and then you send that to them, and they can strike that transaction for you. Now, as I go into this one, for example, you also want to be number one. Make sure you do it correctly, and you got everything filled out, and that increases your algorithm to make sure you come up the right way. But if I open this up, I'll see this particular company, and I'm not going to critique them too hard because they did come up real high, but you want to make sure you got your capability statement linked. Okay. You also want to make sure all your data is completed. That they're doing a pretty good job with their email and their hyper secure link there for both of those, both the web commerce and www page. Going through here, there's cage codes available to them. Been around since 2010. It's been around a while. They go ahead and give their self certifications, which are important that you could self-declare, not just the certifications at the federal level that you would sometimes receive. This is for this organization probably important that they have a variety of individuals at the table, and when they do that. But if you have your other certifications, that is checked off correctly, and then of course your capabilities narrative, and your narrative should be built in such a way that it does have those keywords in there somewhere. And this is if they're searching, I love paragraphs and I like to be descriptive, but I also want you to get high. And the best way to get high on the list is to have the right keywords. Okay. And have that ready to go. And then of course your NAICS codes assigned to them. And this tells them that you're a small business. You've already been certified. If you were a woman-owned small business, for example, then you would have woman-owned checked here, and then you would have small business. And so that they would know that in that process. And always update your performance history. Surely this company's had some business since 2010. It would be important for them to put that in there. And so you want to make sure that you do that. And so this is, I just cannot stress enough how important it is that you get your small business profile done correctly. If you haven't done this, you don't know how to do it, reach out to us. You can give us one of the options on on our registration list for Zoom calls where you can do that, and we'll sit with you and make sure it's done correctly. It's the best. I don't know how much we do charge on it, but it's the best investment you'll ever make. I don't care what. It's important that you get this done correctly, and in the process. And so with that, tapped in right here, okay, in there. And so when you're also having your capability statement attached here, and when you do that, you should be able to upload it here, and you can tap into it, and then you'll find that right here, that arrow down, okay, and it shows you detail. That's mine there. I will just listen to you. We also have a class where I teach you how to actually organize, and organization, I believe, is key. Otherwise, you got chaos. You're always scrambling, and you need to be able to be efficient. So we do have tools to help you. We've got a drive built with a lot of templates ready to go, videos to teach you how to do things. As a member, these things are things that you're going to help, but a way to organize your actual RFPs that you're working and having them everything ready to go in your chat GPTs, teaching it to really help you write and how to go about doing that. These are tools that are helpful to you as when you first get started. But then going in and actually finding the bids themselves, filters on the left, building that portfolio. You're also going to make sure you drive your daily alert to you, and you click here for your settings in order to come in and make that setting tied to you by industry. Now you're going to find there's NATES codes, there's NIGP commodity codes, there's United Nations standardization codes, about 40 different coding mechanisms around the works, and frankly, all of them were before keyword functionality, but then tied to, of course, you have them tied to set asides and so forth. But we crosswalk all of those into these commonplace industry categories, and so we want you to make sure you go in there. Maybe you can even scan it with a keyword to see which one fits you. Once you update that, it actually drives your app in both the app stores, and as you tag them into your capture folder, then you can save them over time and build that portfolio of not only active work, but of future work, and having that data there. And you can decide eventually that you're not looking at working it, you can actually remove those and drop them out. But otherwise, you can keep them in here as long as you like. Here's one I was watching from July of last year. This one here, September of last year. Okay, so these are helpful tools to allow you to build your 2025 plans and then pull that detail. And of course, on the alerts and what's active, you can always go in here on the left-hand side after you have your settings and drop down. And I always like to point out that this is just a simple tool we built for you. And you can come in and let's just say I want to look at everything that's been active in the last 60 days. I just type in the number 60, and then it'll come out and give me that 60-day profile. Really quick access to bids that I might want to. Here's a secret shopper services. I think I could do that with my eyes closed. There, dude. That's actually due to it's later on today. Shoot, I didn't see that one. That's a small transaction. Micro purchase, ready to go. Something that you can really tap into. Almost anybody can go about winning, but you got to be ready to act quickly. I'm not sure when that was released or not. As you tap into it, this is in the DC, another housing authority. Okay, it's an external link here, and then you go in and actually it's good about procuring that. So these are all solid transactions. And then lastly, I want to show you just quickly on the left-hand side, you filter. Here are your filters that you store. And you pull those up, it'll always show you the last one first. It allows you to just keep an organized profile of bids that you're working. So here, for example, I'm looking here for interpreter translation. I was helping somebody earlier in Texas. I apply that filter. It would show me if there's a match today. I can tap that at any given time and then allow me to see those bids last one first that are still active. Okay, so it's important that you use those filters in the right way. And then I can build those by over here on the left-hand side, going in, typing in a keyword within an industry, within a state. Every time I add one, I'm limiting my exposure to information. If I add a federal qualifier, then it only shows me federal bids. So that takes up 50,000 active bids now. Probably going to be at 52,000 by the end of the evening. It's which was really the largest spending period of the year. It's kind of surprising. It's Thanksgiving, I know, but everybody's hitting the market now with bids that they got to get done by the end of the year. And right now, it's become an important feature because it's going to be a change. Okay, and we all kind of know that it's coming. And so, getting in there the next 6 to 8 weeks is going to be productive for anybody who does. And I just kind of continue to throw that out. But getting there and making sure that you see see the bids quickly is critical. Filtering within filters. Okay. You save your filter, you can run it later. Now, here on the global side, I can go in there and search globally. Let's just see if there's any more secret shoppers. Okay. If I take that, two words together, it has to appear together. Or conjunction can ask something else. And it requires both. And not is restricted. Okay. What's referred to as the Boolean search technique. Those two words have to appear together. And this is the way we really kind of searched before they came out with that company called Google. I remember sitting on a plane in the late 1990s, I think it was, maybe early 2000, and seeing reading about this company called Google. So that's a great idea. Yeah, now it's taking over the world. Okay, here we go. And here's one bid, only one bid there. I did a global search, 50,000 listings, and I still found that. I found that particular one. And so you sometimes you want to step back and broaden that out. Let's just see if there's anything in secret and in general. And so it gives me a bigger view. So sometimes you want to step back and do that in order to make sure you're not missing something. Okay. And that'll help you out with that process. Find the keywords you like, you save your keyword, and then you can run those at any given time. And so that's just some quick ways to really kind of focus in on how to and building your pipeline for 2025. And I'm going to stop there. And I'm actually going to stop the recording right now. We have been live on YouTube, and thank anybody for joining us there. But in the room here, I want to answer any questions that you might have. I do appreciate you coming directly to our Zoom class, and that helps us out. And let me just do that really quick, and I'll stop that. And then see if you have any questions, so you feel free to ask those.